Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to 𝗥𝗵𝗲 show. Thank you for always being with us. And we love your company. We love having you being with us and, listening to what Ria and I have to share. And first of all, Ria is going to be taking over the conversation today. But before she does, I just want to introduce ourselves and just welcome to the show. For most of you that have tuned in who do not know as to what the show is about, the show is about real estate and mindset. So together, Ria, she talks about real estate. I talk about the mindset. And between her and I, we bridge the gap for your success. So without further ado, welcome. My name is 𝗥𝗵𝗲.
My name is Ria.
And welcome
to
our show. Okay, perfect. Ria, I'm going to pass the mic to you.
Thank you, 𝗥𝗵𝗲. And today's topic is a continuation from the book of Robert Kiyosaki, Increase Our Financial IQ. So let me share my screen. All right, so today's topic is finding our genius. Robert built and rebuilt several businesses from 1974 to 1984. He was determined to become an entrepreneur. Just like a baby who stands and falls a number of times before learning to walk, Robert stood and fell a number of times before walking as an entrepreneur. Robert did this because he wanted to learn to become an insider, not an outsider. From 1984 to 1994, Robert became an educational entrepreneur because Robert became interested in how people learn. It is not what, but how people learn. Although Robert disliked school, Robert enjoyed learning also. Robert wanted to know why Robert felt stupid in class. During those 10 years, from 1974 to 1984, Kim and Robert built an education company that taught entrepreneurship and investing from their offices in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, and the USA. During that time period, Robert did things differently, almost the opposite of the way traditional schools teach. So instead of creating an environment where only 1 or 2 students were smart, Robert created an environment where everyone could feel smart and learn. Instead of competing, the class cooperated. Instead of having students listen to the Robert lecture, Robert created different games to teach specific subjects. So it's not just information, but they love the games. Instead of being bored, adult students were actively challenged and participated. And like he said, this is through the educational games. Robert went on to develop his educational board game. It's called Cash Flow, from what he learned as an entrepreneurial educator. The first game to teach both accounting and investing at the same time. As we all know, accounting can be the most boring subject on the earth, and investing the most frightening. By combining the 2 subjects into one game, accounting and investing, learning became challenging and fun. Robert learned more about the human mind and how we learn. Robert found out a number of things about our school systems that were disturbing. Robert found out that our current system of teaching actually damaged a child's brain. And in other words, even an A student can be slowed up by the educational system. Robert also talks about multiple intelligences, and there are 7, and I'm going to go through it with you. Through Robert's research, Robert discovered the book. The book is called Frames of Mind, The Theory of Multiple Intelligences. The author is Howard Gardner. His work was mind-expanding and validating. He teaches that there are 7 intelligences, and we're going to go over each one of them. Broadly, the 7 intelligences are bodily, kinesthetic, linguistic, spatial, logical, mathematical, musical, interpersonal, and intrapersonal intelligences. So this is from his book, the bodily, kinesthetic, linguistic, spatial, logical, mathematical, musical, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. There's a difference between inter and intrapersonal intelligence. Robert says his book validated what Robert intrinsically knew. Robert did not have the intelligences recognized by the school systems, which are predominantly linguistic. So that's language, logical, and mathematical. So these are the intelligences in the school system. And this is one of the reasons Robert failed English twice in high school. Robert could not write, according to him, Robert could not spell or punctuate. Robert is not linguistic. Robert is not logical. Robert says that during his freshman year at the Merchant Marine Academy, English became his favorite subject. Why? Because he had a great teacher. So the teacher, mentor also plays a role. If not for that teacher, Robert might not be an author today. Robert's English teacher at the academy had great interpersonal skills, which is why Robert could relate to him. Robert respected him. Instead of talking down to Robert, he inspired Robert. They could speak person to person rather than teacher to student. In his class, Robert wanted to be smart, and he wanted to learn. Instead of another F or a fail in English, Robert received a B. This topic talks about I need security or we need security. Later, as a Marine in Vietnam, according to Robert, it was Robert's intra is oneself, intrapersonal intelligence that kept him alive. Intrapersonal intelligence, intra is oneself, is the ability to control our own emotions and get the job done, even if the job is life-threatening. Many people are not successful financially because their intrapersonal intelligence is weak. Their own our own intelligence is weak. People with limited intrapersonal intelligence often say, I need job security, or that sounds risky. These are the examples of emotions during the thinking, not the intrapersonal intelligence. So these are just emotions. As Robert studied more about Gardner and his theory of multiple intelligences, Robert realized that A students were those who had high linguistic and high logical mathematical intelligences. Reading, writing, and math were easy for them, but they were very difficult for Robert. Robert read and wrote slowly. Robert only liked math if Robert was measuring something, like his boat or money. Robert's intelligence strengths were spatial, bodily kinesthetic, intrapersonal. And intrapersonal is why he doodled in class, built a boat, and was not threatened or motivated when the teachers told him that he, Robert, would not get a good job if he did not get good grades. At this time, we may want to ask ourselves, of the 7 intelligences, which are we strongest? So what I learned from this and Robert's upbringing, even though he was not the school A-class student, he was intelligent in other forms of intelligences. And just like he mentioned, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, intrapersonal. So I'm going to discuss the 7 intelligences because we need to work on our strength. And that's why we've got to identify which of the 7 intelligences are we the strongest. And that's probably where we need to, follow our path. So for bodily kinesthetic is one of them. Linguistic, spatial, logical, mathematical, musical, interpersonal, or intrapersonal. I don't think that, one person has all of this. There's, which means that, they're all strong in all this. We may be strong in some and weak on others. We have the ability to strengthen them if we want to. But there's always room for improvement to increase the strength of these 7 intelligences. So I'm going to go over these 7 intelligences. First is the bodily kinesthetic intelligence, or BKI. What is it? So bodily kinesthetic intelligence is the ability to use the body to either solve problems, to communicate, express ideas and feelings. Often the BKI, or bodily kinesthetic intelligences, they're great at sports. There are athletes. They're great at dancing. They're great at acting. Those are actors we see in Broadway or in movies. They're great at crafts. They're good with their hands, building something. Now the next intelligence, linguistic intelligence. What is it? It is the ability to use and understand language, both spoken and written. They enjoy reading, writing, telling stories, doing crossword puzzles. That's the linguistic intelligence. Third intelligence is called spatial intelligence, also called visual intelligence. And what is it? It is the ability to perceive and understand visual information in real and abstract word. They're good at spatial reasoning. What is spatial reasoning? It is the ability to mentally manipulate a 2- or 3-dimensional object, such as, for example, playing Tetris. Tetris video game, this is a spatial intelligence, 2D or 3D. I played this game before. And what are other examples of spatial intelligence? Those people that like jigsaw puzzles, they have great spatial intelligence. If you love chess, you have one of your strengths is spatial intelligence, building blocks, cognitive map. So these are just examples of the strength in spatial intelligence. Now we go next to logical mathematical intelligence. So what is this? It is the ability to use logical reasoning and numbers to solve problems. And they are good with numbers and enjoy math and arithmetic. They enjoy logic and strategy games. They are able to think about issues scientifically. Next intelligence is musical intelligence. Musical intelligence is the ability to perceive, express, and appreciate musical forms and sounds. Often they're talented musicians, composers, songwriters, conductors. Famous people that we know are Bach, Beethoven, and Michael Jackson. So they have one of their strengths is musical intelligence. And because they are great with this and they made use of this, they follow this path, they made a lot of money. Next, these are the two, interpersonal and intrapersonal. Let's talk first about interpersonal intelligence. What is interpersonal intelligence? It is the ability to understand and relate to others, other people, and to interface with them effectively. So inter is others. They see situations from different perspectives. They create positive relationship with others, and they resolve conflict in group settings. So they're great negotiation leaders. You know, they are great with making people feel and heard, that they're understand, right? So they have great understanding and they're able to relate to others. That's interpersonal intelligence. Intra, this is now one own self. Intrapersonal intelligence is the ability to understand and use knowledge of one's own. So our own thoughts, feelings, and motivations to guide our life. It involves self-awareness, self-reflection, and introspection, looking at oneself. Often, they're able to understand their strengths and their weaknesses. They set meaningful goals. They make decisions. They communicate effectively. They respond calmly in stressful situations. And people with this strength, intrapersonal intelligence, a lot of them are psychologists, spiritual leaders, and philosophers. So this is the topic about finding our genius. I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comment section below, what is your one key takeaway in this talk. We'll see you soon.
Wow, Ria, that was, yeah, you know what? That was just so useful. And I hope, people do appreciate that, because you know what? Finding one's genius, and especially if we don't know as to, what it is that we want to do, like what's your career path? We don't know what it is. And to be able to find what is your zone of genius, as people call it, you need to be able to identify yourself. You need to be able to, really reflect on, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And when we can decipher our strengths, our weaknesses, then we know, okay, that's the path we want. So what the notes that I took from you, first of all, I liked, when a baby comes into this world, before they start to walk, you got to be able, they have to stand, right? But they have to stand, they have to be able to walk, but then the baby falls down. But then what does the baby do? Baby never gives up, because the baby knows that's what they want to do. They want to walk at some point in time. So the baby falls down, he gets back up, he never quits. But as adults, why do we quit? So I love that, is that they never give up. And I also learn is that you know, learning is how we learn. Learning is through, you know, through different, these, you know, intelligences that you talk about. So yeah, really thank you for sharing this, because I think it's so important, especially when we need to know what is our path that we want, what's our zone of genius.
That's right. And finding our genius, right? It doesn't mean that you're dumb or the school label you dumb, that
Mm,
not smart or stupid, right? That means that you are, because it's just that either the teacher needs to cultivate more the genius inside of you, and sometimes it's best that, you know, we read books, we find other teachers, just like with Robert. He found a teacher in the Marine Merchant Academy where he honed his genius, and now Robert is an author. He teaches a lot of people, right, all over the world through his games, board game cash flow, and other educational businesses that he has. And that's why I love his book, because without the book, I'm not able to find my genius. So there are teachers out there. We just need to find them, mentors out there that we need to find to help find our genius. Just like me and Alka are into real estate, there are several other geniuses out there that are doing real estate. It's just a matter of who we follow, and we both have the same mentors. And so who is your genius? Who is your mentor? Because if you do find that teacher, that mentor, you will become an A student in your zone of genius. You don't give up. If you fall down, like what Alka said, like a baby, you stand back up. So you got to have the grit. You got to have thick skin, during that process of finding your genius. Never, ever give up, because you're not going to get your genius right away. It takes years, just like Bruce Lee, right? It takes 10,000 steps to be a master of one kick.
that's right, exactly. That's how, you know, you see all the pros, they're always up perfecting their craft, they're always perfecting. I've seen, you know, there's a lot of pros that, you know, when I go to the dance competitions, these pros are always, you know, before they even go on to perform a show, they are practicing. They don't need to practice, they
Yeah.
practice because they always are perfecting their craft.
Yeah.
And
And the
when you,
is
right?
not 1
Hmm?
hour, not 30 minutes. It's 8, 10, 12 hours a day of practice.
10, 12 hours a day. That's right. Exactly. Because they, you know, they don't need to. No one needs to do anything, but they do it because they know that this is, you know, this what needs to happen. So if
Big,
you was, hmm?
right? That to become a great genius, that's what needs to happen, to put in the hours.
That's right, with anything. So yeah, that's just a classic example that, you know, pros, they practice, they keep on practicing because this is the lane that they're in, this is the genius that we're in. But really, thank you for sharing this, because this really is so valuable. Well, guys, you know, I hope that you got amazing information from this. Drop in the chat as to what would your takeaway. And we have come to the end of another amazing show. This was such a great topic to you know, leave the show with. But drop it in the chat. What was your biggest takeaway? And we will see you the same times next. You know, we will see you at the same time, same place. And always make sure that, you know, whatever Rhea and I we share with you, you have to implement, because knowledge is power, but knowledge without the implementation will only get you so far. So be good, make the rest of the day the best of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
Rhea. Thank you, Rhea.